Bienvenue. It's the Roux with Chef Money, sponsored by Blue Plate Mayonnaise on WBOK 1230 AM. And today, I have a rock star in the building. I am so tickled to have you today, Chef Toya. She is a chef, she's an author, she's an actress, she's an all-around Renaissance woman. And she's here today to talk about one of her latest cookbooks. Welcome, Chef.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I've been dying to meet you. For one, I was so glad that I met you. We met at an event. She was the judge. I was so tickled when I heard she was going to be the judge because it was my first opportunity to fangirl. So she's here today to talk about her latest cookbook and tell everyone what the title is.
Cooking from scratch. It's a careful selection of useful recipes.
Yes, and how did we arrive here? You have a great concept behind it.
Thank you. I recently, well, by recently I mean a couple years ago, came across a manuscript for an original document called the Melinda Russell Cookbook, a domestic guide. And when I came across it, it was you had in there how to remove corns, how to remove hair dye, how to bake a cake, how to
All
make
of
a
the home
roast,
remedies and everything.
remedies,
Hmm.
how to make cleaning
Life
solutions,
skills.
all sorts of stuff in this cookbook. And I said, well, wait, they have so many different lanes and stuff like that that I thought, you know what, we need one for this day and time. Now, of course, the recipes in that book were hilarious. They were like
What did
a,
you find?
a fistful of this,
A
uh,
fistful.
like
Pardon me.
that's the whole.
But somehow that makes sense to me. A fistful.
Not in three sentences. Not in three sentences. It would be something even as a person who's a natural cook. When I looked at it, I thought this is the language, but you got to realize that was like the 1800, like, you know what I mean? So
Yes. Yes.
1866.
Yes.
So the lingo is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
The vernacular, we wouldn't even understand them
Right.
when they regularly spoke to us.
Right,
We'd have to
right.
pause and be like,
Is this another language?
you're
Like,
talking
right,
about this, right?
right.
That's
right,
what you call that now?
Right.
You don't realize.
So was it funny? Was it?
I mean, it was funny to me, like, that's hilarious that somebody had to follow this. But then I realized you get it in that time. Just
It
like,
made sense in that time frame.
it's just,
of course.
it's just like when you hear jive turkey, man, you jiving me, man.
Yeah.
And
We get it if we from that era.
yeah, if
Right.
you're from that era, but if
Right.
you're not,
Right.
imagine throwing that to one of my kids. They'll probably
Right.
look and say, "You what?"
Yes.
You
Absolutely.
know, it's like that. So, it's a lot of different recipes that kind of come together, and they're like a
Can I see it?
village. Hmm.
Yes, because we are live streaming. It's beautifully done. The cameras to see it.
That's yours, by the way.
Oh, thank you, girl. Oh, awesome. I'm gonna do me a video cooking a recipe. Oh, can I use that vernacular? I know you switched it up though, right?
Oh no. I didn't
Beautiful.
copy the book by any means. I just pay homage in the book
And
because
use that format.
and talk about her a lot in the book because her name isn't mentioned often. And it was done in a time frame where women's, work, and especially a black woman's work, was swept under the rug.
Right.
You
I
know.
think about her and the Lena Richards and women like those women who were pioneers who many don't know existed and the things that they've done. So this is beautiful that you took the opportunity to recognize her and to
Hmm.
even build on something that she created and that she did even way back then with the different lingo.
Hmm.
But this is beautifully done. The pictures are beautifully done. And you're telling your story inside of the book.
Oh, for sure. Like, my style of writing is always a touch of memoir. My last book, Cooking for the Culture, I always say it's like a cookbook slash memoir. It's the same with this. It's a cookbook slash a guide. I'm a writer first. So I enjoy telling stories and weaving in wisdom and understanding. In this book, my goal was a lot different than Melinda's goal, probably when she wrote hers. Mine was basically to be a village intentionally and also tell people how to build community. Because a lot of times, we're in this realm now where they have this term called chosen family, which are, a lot of the LGBTQ people plus people have to, have chosen family because their family has abandoned them just because of, who they love.
Right.
And then they have people who are not in that lane, but just have toxic family situations. And they don't have what I would say even I have. Like my family is amazing,
Yes.
and I see people who don't have it and I think, man, they need to know how to build a community. And there's a way you can build it. Everyone wants that piece of community. You want somebody to count on, but can someone count on you? You want someone that you can call fast and get help, but can someone call you fast and get help?
It has to be reciprocal.
Yeah,
Correct.
like people don't, people, I think that little tidbit, they're just thinking, I don't have, and they don't realize, but are you what you're asking for? And the
Absolutely.
book highlights that as well, along with teaching you some stuff. But, I feel like this too inside of the book. In this day and time, we need different things. We need something that uh, I would say sometimes some people could feel embarrassed about asking. I just put it in the book, like how to stock a cabinet, what you would need when you're first moving into a fresh place by yourself.
Right. Things that you probably typically wouldn't think about. Everyone doesn't have that family, like that network
Mm-hmm.
that taught them that. Because I
Mm-hmm.
used to take that for granted a lot, expecting a lot of young girls around me and even some in my family, younger girls, the questions they'd ask, I'm like, they didn't cover that, but they missed it. So you're right.
Or they
They didn't.
can't.
They can't. They didn't have anybody to show them. So that is useful that you're giving this. Yeah, TD, how they call me TD. I just moved here. I don't know how to cook. Look, I got text messages full of recipes. But yeah, it's
But
great to have a
sometimes it's
guide.
it's just stressful. That's why people can't remember. And people, a lot of culinarians sometimes can be on a high horse about cooking and about doing a whole bunch of things. And I'm like, man, you don't understand when people go through real trauma. Maybe you haven't been through it to
Hmm.
where you can't remember what
Hmm.
you need to do when you need to do it.
Right.
That's how heavy trauma,
Right.
relationships, all these things can be, parenting, you know. There's one thing I wrote in there. I was talking about how something simple. Maybe you're starting over after divorce. I'm recently divorced too. There's small things that you forget in the kitchen and you're thinking, how did I forget that? But you're going through so much at one time.
Hmm.
So this is an answer for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I really like to approach recipes and lifestyle stuff. I say often that I didn't grow. I was very fortunate to have two parents from uptown that were really progressive. They didn't really harp on gender roles. It was never, and I never tell women this too, that you need to know how to cook. No, you don't. You got a card you can swipe, baby. Buy that food, buy that peace of mind. Why do you think rich people do it? And why do you think they live longer? Because they understand that they don't have to work themselves to the bone. They can work smart, not hard.
Yeah, you can outsource that. I'm definitely all for the outsourcing of the
Yeah,
cooking of the
man.
food if I gotta eat. Look, I tell people this all the time. Yeah, I do. It's just me right now, but I do eat out because for one, I like the experience and I like to it's
Yeah.
research. But two, it's outsourced and I've cooked all day. No, I don't want to cook my
No,
dinner. I
that
don't.
peace of mind.
I
I don't
don't.
like
Right.
cooking my own
Right.
food
You
either.
you get it right. We cook,
Mm-mm.
so we
You just want to enjoy
definitely
somebody to give to
right.
you.
Listen, it's that. And they're like, you eat out every
Mm-hmm.
day. Yes, yes. If only you cooked
Oh,
in the
that's my
volume, you
goal.
would definitely understand,
That's my
right?
goal. Even without cooking in volume. That's
Mm-hmm.
my goal. I always tell my partner this. I tell her, I said, look, what I do, I said, I at some point I want to live in the perfect spot where I have my neighborhood restaurant where they know me. I go
Mm-hmm.
there for lunch. I have a place I go for breakfast.
Yes.
And I've seen elders who
That do
who
it.
make guap, who do that, who just
Yes.
live like
Right.
this is where we're going
Right.
for
Right.
dinner. And I
Right.
think, oh man, that feels so good.
Yes. Yes. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I definitely
Mm-hmm.
relate to that. But this is beautifully done. Look,
Thank you.
recipes that feel like home to me. That's a beautiful chapter to cover. We all have that, and for me, that's how it has to feel. That's how I relate to food. That is how I portray my menu. So this is an entire chapter. And tell me, what is your favorite recipe from the book? Do you have any that are passed down through your family from your mother?
Um, no, not that are passed down. My favorite recipe from the book is the yuca congri and the Cuban pork. That's my celebratory meal.
Mhm.
Like I eat that maybe twice a year. One, because it's kind of like the weight of Thanksgiving food.
Mhm.
That's not something you're supposed to be eating on a random
So
Tuesday.
tell for everyone who doesn't know, please explain that dish, please.
All right, so the yuca is this Spanish potato-like substance, and congri is like these beans and rice cooked together, and then they have the Cuban pork that's marinated with a lot of citrus and onions and a whole bunch of different flavors, and it's super soft. There's this restaurant that I go to called Churros.
Mhm.
I go there every time I want this recipe. And that's where I get it. And I eat it twice a year because it's that heavy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Oh
it's,
yeah, it's the itis
oh
after.
man, I don't want to eat nothing that make me doze off after too
And so
many
you cook
times.
it now.
Yeah, I cook it. I cooked it for the cookbook, but as
Mhm.
far as cooking it for myself often, no,
It's a
indeed.
labor of love. Is it
It's a.
intensive?
It's not that it's a labor of love. I don't want to cook like
Girl,
that for myself.
come on.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes, yes,
I just want to
yes, yes,
enjoy someone. You got to
yes.
realize my entire life and I explained this to my mother because she was like, I don't understand why you don't eat your own food so often. I said, you have to realize, you just cook your own food. You just cook your own food and you sell it somewhere, right? I cooked my food and I'm judged by the world,
Mhm.
not state, not city,
Mhm.
not 50 states,
Right,
world.
right.
Like, it's a lot. So, and you're judged, critiqued on these wide platforms over and over again publicly. And then on top of that, you have the online forums that build websites and critique you and stuff like
Yes.
that. You don't
Do
even
you let it
kind of,
get to you?
no,
Do you let it bother you?
no.
Yeah. And I have to accept that. Some people like it, some people don't. But I go with what resonates with me. So you saying, so from that, being on that wide scale, you feel the critique, you don't want to cook after that and eat
Not that
it.
I don't want to cook after that or eat it. It just I use a lot of energy even processing that energetically.
Yeah.
It's
I
not even
understand
something that
that.
I
That's a
I
lot.
don't look at anything on my
Mhm.
YouTube channel. I rarely ever go on it, but I don't look at any comments or anything.
Right.
I
I don't.
cut them
That's
off. Yeah.
a good way to approach it. I think because it's just. I mean, nothing to come out of it. It's just somebody's opinion. Then some people are just deliberately. They're looking for a reaction. They
Oh
deliberately
yeah.
go around spewing negativity. They're just taking their own frustrations out. It's an outlet for them. So I put no credence into it. And you're right. You don't even need to take your energy
Yeah.
reading it because it is a bounce reciprocal. I don't want the negativity in my life. That part of it. Yeah, you keep that. So that's wise of you to avoid
It just feels like
reading
work.
it. Right.
Like food at times, a lot of times can feel like work to me because it has been intense, laborious work and not in the way of cooking from the table, but like it's literally emotionally, even writing a book and doing these things, television appearances.
So let's talk about your
Yeah.
television appearances because that is how you got mainstream notice. Tell
Mhm.
everyone where you started.
Well, I started out, I did my own YouTube channel and there was nothing viral about it. Let me tell you this at the top. All of the national and some worldwide attention that I got was all with my followers being well under 5,000. I remember, no, it had to be maybe 2,000 because it wasn't until I was a couple years on the Hallmark channel that I got to 5,000.
Mhm.
So people look to be viral or have a blue check. You don't need to worry about that. It's just kind of about aligning yourself. And it started getting attention. Like I applied for a show, and then once I applied for one show, it just kept like once your name get in the hat,
Mhm.
it keeps popping up. It's almost like it's in there a couple times. It's weird. And
Your first show was.
the first show that I was actually on was Guys Grocery Games. After that,
And
it
that's on
was
Food Network, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was on Food Network a couple of Guys Grocery Games, and then Food Network Star. I did that for about it was like a month of filming for that, and then directly after that, I went to the Hallmark Channel, and I went there and I won a competition, won $25,000, and then they kept me coming back to the show. They kept bringing me out quarterly and sometimes more often than that for like about 5 years straight.
That was for you. That
Mm.
was specifically for
It was
you.
specific. They called and found me. I didn't apply for it.
For
Yeah.
you. That was for you.
It was very interesting.
And we're gonna talk about that and what's for you and what aligns with you when we come back after the break. Y'all know I'm all about keeping it authentic and keeping it New Orleans. And when it comes to my Ramalai or dressing up a perfect po' boy, there's only one mayo that's been doing it right since 1927, and that's Blue Plate mayonnaise. Born right here in New Orleans, Blue Plate uses only egg yolks, just like my grandmother Viola taught. That's what gives it that extra rich, creamy texture that makes everything taste better. You know what they say, that's the good stuff. Blue Plate mayo, made in New Orleans and made to make everything taste like family. Crawbabies inside of Vaucressan's Creole Cafe, serving the best authentic Creole food in New Orleans. Gumbo, yakami, smothered okra, seafood potato, crawfish etouffee, and more. We're located at 1800 St. Bernard Avenue in the heart of the 7th Ward, Tuesday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Ask about catering and event space rental. Follow us on Instagram at Eat Crawbabies, NOLA, on Facebook, Crawbabies LLC. Hey y'all, make sure you tune in on Thursdays at 12:30 p.m. for the Roux with Chef Bunny, sponsored by Blue Plate Mayonnaise on WBOK 12:30 a.m. And we're back. The Roux with Chef Bunny, sponsored by Blue Plate Mayonnaise on WBOK 12:30 a.m. And we're back with Chef Toya today, and she was just telling us how she got her start in TV, on TV, working on the Hallmark Channel. That was interesting to me. You literally called it college for you, where you got most of your media training, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You want to continue to talk about that?
Yeah. So it was like Hallmark was like college for me. It taught me how to better behave and come back on camera. It was live, so it wasn't like we were stopping, cutting, and doing over anything. It was just on the spot.
It was
And
intense for you, I'm sure.
it was, I don't have any feeling when I'm on camera. I don't feel anything, which is primarily why I don't eat or drink anytime before.
Okay.
You know,
That's a practice you've instituted?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you don't want to have to burp.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to
correct.
burp. You don't have to clear your throat. Like even down to eating anything like with potatoes in it before you film. Like all those little things that I know, potatoes and all those things produce mucus. So you find yourself,
Coughing. Yeah.
doing that all the time and not having a clear throat. But like, yeah, so it was just like college for me because it taught me how to behave. I saw myself grow. I took an acting class one time through the quarantine with the master class with Samuel L. Jackson. And he said this thing about people who don't watch themselves on television. You don't watch yourself. Why would you want someone else? Why you think
That's
somebody else is
true.
going to watch
That's
you?
very true.
And I didn't watch myself for a long time
Yep.
because I didn't want to see. I wasn't. I'm a person, honestly. I get the opportunities I get, and I look the way I look. But my main goal is getting behind the camera. So directing and producing and telling stories and stuff like that. So I was never too fascinated with seeing myself. So I started watching myself. And then at that point, that's when it really kicked up because I started critiquing, like, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, this is my better side. I should not wear that color again.
Right.
I need to learn how to do
Know what to
this.
change from watching yourself. That's
Mm-hmm.
basically why you should do it and have takeaways, right?
Mm-hmm.
I watch my show sometimes and I'm like, oh God. Like, yeah. And I go back and I fix it. I can watch my very first show and see the growth in between there from then because God knows I had no clue what I was doing. I still don't, but it gets better every week,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right about that. I wouldn't watch myself either. I was horrified. I was like, whose voice is that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, but you've been on like every gamut, every TV show, the Today Show, that was major. Like you
Yeah.
said, high volume, intense.
And what I do is I build relationships. That's how I end up going back over and over again. That one time I went, and another thing that I learned from the Samuel L. Jackson master class was making friends on set. And that's what I did. And it wasn't in an opportunistic kind of way. Like, it was more like sowing the seed of treating each human like a human.
It's organic. Yes.
And that's something that you kind of have to do. And with building bonds and like being genuinely myself, they'll call and ask me, like for the Mardi Gras thing, when I did the Today Show and Duke and all of them was there, Al Roker asked for me.
Yes.
You know
And
what
you
I
made
mean?
quite an impression.
It's because okay, she's easy to work with, she's
Yes.
professional,
Yes.
and
Right.
quick.
That's good. You should always
Mhm.
represent yourself that way. Yes, if you want to form relationships and last and have
Yeah.
credibility, you've built credibility, obviously, working with all of these major networks. But when is the book dropping? Because you have so many, you're on book tour. I know what that's like by watching my Julie, obviously. But on a larger scale, you're absolutely booked doing a tour. Tell everybody when it's going to drop.
It's dropping June 16th. Which I'm really proud of that date. I was supposed to be Juneteenth, which is a very special day for me, not just because of what happened, but I feel like, um, a lot of monumental things happen. I won on the Hallmark Channel on Juneteenth,
Amazing.
which is
Awesome.
very interesting. And they couldn't get the Juneteenth date, the 19th, because in the major publishing companies, they have to release on certain days. It's on Tuesdays. So the book is releasing on June 16th, which is actually the day the bill was passed, for Juneteenth becoming a
The
holiday.
significance of
So
that.
how
Yes.
all of that lined up, and there's going to be an early release event June 13th at Whitney Plantation.
Yes,
That's
let's
their
talk about that. That sounds amazing. The concept around it with the book, what
That's
you're
their
doing.
Juneteenth. That's their Juneteenth celebration, and it's gonna be ceremonies and stuff like that. And my book talk is gonna be there. It's gonna be held in the Antioch Church out there, which is very symbolic for me because the city knew me as an artist and a poet first, and my name was Church. And some people still call me Church.
Awesome.
So,
That's amazing.
I get to do that at the church, and I'll have food to pass out to people as samples and stuff like that. Conga players, all of that. It's gonna be nice.
It's gonna be nice. And what are you serving? We have to ask that, of course.
Gumbo, collards, and cornbread. Of course, to talk about the history of those, and the rations and stuff like that.
What type of gumbo are you gonna do?
Oh, chicken and sausage,
Chicken
hands
and
down.
sausage?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, to be considerate.
Right.
Because there's people with allergies,
Right.
man.
You're right about that.
I try to keep it as clean as possible,
Mhm.
and even down to going a step further and making it a gluten-free roux, just in case.
Just in case,
You don't want
correct.
somebody to be hot and hurting, because you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna try. I'm allergic to a lot of stuff,
Mhm.
and sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna try this,
Right. And end
and
up
I
paying
keep
for it.
Benadryls in my
Right.
wallet.
End up paying for it later. At least
Yeah.
you're taking proactive measures because, like, I know if I'm lactose intolerant, but if some like your ice cream, I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna pay for
Yeah.
it later because she also has an ice cream.
It's
Let's talk
dairy-free.
about that. Is there? Oh yeah.
It's actually vegan. Now, I don't
It's
say
vegan?
vegan anymore because my first pop up when I said vegan, it scared people away. So
Yeah.
I just keep them to dairy free.
Dairy free works because
Yeah.
but that works for me because I'm looking for something dairy free. Like I said, I'm lactose intolerant, but I love the name. Tell everyone the name.
Poetic Justice, but it's Poetic Just Ice Cream.
Yes, I saw that.
So
that
it
was so
has-
clever. I love it.
Yeah, it has a lot of good flavors. It has a historical background with some of the names and stuff like that. Like my favorite flavor, the bestseller, is melanated vanilla. That's the butter pecan. And it's not just a regular butter pecan. It's a butter pecan ice cream with candied toasted pecans in it. And the
New
reason why I
Orleans.
call it melanated vanilla is because a long time ago, Black people were not allowed to purchase vanilla ice cream unless it was 4th of July. That's why you see a lot of our elders eat a lot of butter pecan, because that was what
The
they could have
leftovers, right,
access
right,
to,
yeah.
But we made it, our vanilla. So that's why I say the butter pecan. When they say, do you have vanilla? No, I have butter pecan.
I've always heard butter pecan was a black thing. And I was like, I never with the context behind it, but
Uh-huh.
I've always heard
Yeah.
like it was a black thing. I was like,
It
I never
is.
thought about it, but that makes
It
all the
is. It's
sense in the
wild.
world.
Couldn't even have ice
Right,
cream.
right. You got the
Crazy.
leftover, the scraps of the ice cream. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and though I don't know if we got the leftovers and we enhanced it with the pecans. Is that what happened? Is that
No,
how it
I
went?
I believe that having it with tree nuts in it, I mean, I'm sure there's some deviant
Approach to that.
tie to that, but
Perhaps, yes. Hmm.
who knows what they were, why they decided to do that.
But it was
But
considered scraps or garbage and given to us. So I
mhm.
love butter pecan.
It
Let
is
me just say
good.
that. I do. I love it. I do. I love pecans. I'm from New Orleans. We had a pecan tree in my great grandmother's backyard. It just would. You don't even see pecan trees anymore. By the by, you don't.
Mm-mm.
You
No, no,
don't.
no,
You
no.
don't.
You see a lot of
Right.
misbelief ones.
Yeah, yeah. Now I want to do something with misbeliefs. I just said this. I want to do like a glaze or something because they're
Mhm.
abundant and we take them for granted. I mean,
Yeah.
there's value in those, believe it or not. But I
Mhm.
love everything you're doing. Congratulations on the book. You
Thank you.
all, it's dropping, cooking from scratch. It's amazing. You've done so beautifully the pictures.
Thank
This is
you.
a great book because I run across a lot of cookbooks and by being a chef and just loving cookbooks in general. This is how I like to see it. The
Mhm.
pictures, you have the
I
detail
made
of the
all the
food. You're
backgrounds.
intentional about
Yeah.
it. You have all of your history intertwined through it. I'm going to go home and pour me a cocktail and read it in thorough. So, yes, tell everybody where they can get your book, where they can get the ice cream, and where they can see you because she's also an actress. Yes.
Well, the as far as the book, you can get that from anywhere. You can pre-order it from Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, uh, Books a Million, Target, anywhere
Yes, because
basically
she's a
has it.
national star, everyone. I thank her for blessing little old me today.
Girl, stop. But no, the link is in my bio on Instagram. If you find me, Toya Bodie, it's pretty easy to find me. Also, yeah, so as far as the ice cream, I have a pop up this Sunday. This
Yes.
Sunday at Port Orleans from 12:30 to 4 p.m. and it's dairy free ice cream. I'll have all three flavors. $8 a container and it's wonderful.
A great way to cool off. It looks like it. I love the
Mhm.
name because when I
Minimal
saw it,
ingredients.
yes,
Yeah.
it just I was like, that makes all the sense in the world. Everything you do, it just everything you do, I can tell is authentic to you and true to self.
I have to do it my
That's it,
way.
that as it should be. That's the
Mhm.
best. That's why they keep calling you to come back. you
Mhm.
know, that's why absolutely. And also about the actress. Tell them about your whole. You're in a
Oh,
play
I
right
just
now,
well, the
right?
play just wrapped. Last weekend was this weekend that just passed was the last day and it was the end and it was perfect. I got a lead role in the play. I was always a thespian. I went to school for culinary arts and theater.
Mhm.
So, I did the culinary arts part to please my mama for the most part
Really?
cuz I didn't even know cooking was a gift for me.
Mhm.
I just saw everybody doing it, so I didn't think it was that, and I know I didn't want to be in a kitchen.
Mhm.
I knew that. I had no clue that it was going to be a blending of worlds. I thought I was going to do that and then switch to theater, but and I was also frustrated thinking that, oh my God, they're going to just keep making me chum out cookbooks and I'm never going to get back to the stage again. So, me, after getting this off the ground and getting it to print, the fact that I got in a play right after, I felt like was a God wink because the play
Mhm.
came to me. The director found me. So, when she reached out to me for it, she
Your
said,
personality is so big, they will not miss you.
she
That's for sure.
thank you.
I love it. You are the rumor. You know it, girl. As it should be.
It,
Yes.
yeah, so she found me and that's how we got into doing it. And I was just like, oh my God, so I'm gonna get to have both.
You
That was my
comfortable on
thing.
stage?
Oh, very.
Yes, of
Very.
course. Of
Mm-hmm.
course. And is. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having
Chef
me.
Toya, get the book, get the ice cream, and check her out when you see her on screen and on stage. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
campus of Xavier University.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a new law targeting what supporters call Sharia law, allowing the state to